everybody, welcome back to the Chaotic Little Book Corner. My name's Acacia. Today we are going to be doing my part 1 August wrap-up. I've tried to film this 3 times so far. This is 4th try. It hasn't worked, so I'm going to explain myself again. It's not today it hasn't worked, so why am I hiccuping? Today is the 16th of August. I have read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 books. I've read 15 books since the last month in July. I pre-recorded my final July wrap-up because my friend was coming into town the first week in August, and I wanted to have complete free reign, and so I needed to multiply record a certain... I don't remember my logic. I'm going to be honest. I don't remember my logic. But the last week in July is in here as well. So, let's dive in. One of these, and it's going to be the first one I talk about, because holy mole. One of these I finished this month, and it's Neuro Tribes. This is the legacy of autism and how to think smarter about people who think differently. I'm going to link down below my Wellcome book prize review. There we go, for the shortlist. This is in there, and I talk more in depth about it. So this is a nonfiction that took me about 2 months to get through, which I'm totally fine with. It is 500 pages, but it's not a quick 500 pages. When you're in it and reading it, it goes really fast. But as far as, like, diving into it and just reading straight through, it's not going to happen. It's a nonfiction that's written like a nonfiction, but not badly, if that makes sense. I super enjoyed this. I thought it was really educational and different and interesting and something very important. I am so happy that I got the chance to read this, and it's definitely worth any hype. If you have questions about autism or different thinking, well worth a pickup. Again, Wellcome Book Prize finalist for the shortlist. This is from the same family. So again, Wellcome Book Prize shortlist review down below. This is The Last Act of Love, and it's by Kathy Retzembrick. And this is a memoir of a woman who's telling the story of her brother and how he was hit by a car and how her family copes with it. And it's a story about love and family and grief and change and hope. And I really enjoyed it. There's more thoughts on it in my Wellcome Book Prize review. I definitely would recommend this to somebody who's kind of looking for a memoir that really gives a boost in the spirit, but also is very realistic. And it kind of was a good nonfiction to read alongside Sarah Moss's Tidal Zone. Yeah, it definitely was primo on that, which will be coming up in about 2 seconds. It's fine. Then I did a buddy read with Amanda Center and Mercedes. Now, these are the 2 books we read in our buddy read. This was the first full week. No. This was the second week in August. This was this week. So we started this on Sunday or Saturday. This is the Dream Snatcher by Abby Elphinstone. I gave it 1 star. I didn't like it. That will be going in Bye Bye Books. On haul bag. This, on the other hand, 4-star read for me. I loved it. Mr. Fox, Helen Oyami, very experimental, short story-esque, but fiction at the same, like full story at the same time, very fun and interesting and feminist, and it was a conversation about the genders and the races and ideas of culture and differences, and I think Helen Oyami is wonderful and amazing, and we had a fantastic discussion on this book, and I am so excited that I got to work with Amanda and Mercedes. I'll link both their channels below. We all enjoyed this, and I'm hoping to read with them again in the future. Helen Oyami, as always, amazing, super loving, yes. The thing about Mr. Fox that was very interesting, and I will tell you because I'm going to go back for a second and kind of blurb this. This is the story of a man who is a writer, and in the first chapter, his muse walks in while his wife is upstairs, and she begins to explain to him how he kills women just regularly, like he just kills off all of his heroines in his stories, and then the two of them proceed to tell stories to each other back and forth, basically fighting it out, dueling it out in stories. It was pretty good. Actually, it was really wonderful. Then, between Mr. Fox and Dream Snatchers, Mercedes was... So we had set up a full week, and Amanda and I, being the people that we are, unemployed and single, we we read through it in 2 days, which I absolutely loved doing, and Amanda and I tried so hard not to spoil Mercedes. I hope we did not. But we really were happy with it, and we were waiting for Mercedes, and we knew we had 3 days before the next buddy read began. So while we were waiting for the next buddy read to begin, we read The Jane and Bertha in Me by Rita Marie Martinez. Now this is a poetry collection. I don't want to say it's fully based around Jane Eyre. It's actually more based around Bertha, in my opinion. So this is a very modern, dark, wonderful, deep, and honest portrait of Bertha in Jane, if that makes sense. So it's a wonderful nod to Jane Eyre. It's an amazing context in of what literature is and what the ideas of Bertha are and where the Berthas are in the world and how they're treated and how the Janes are treated. And Amanda and I got into some really, really deep, wonderful, meaningful conversations. I felt closer to her as a friend by the end of this book. I couldn't be more happy with the way that the book went. I gave it a 5-star. Amanda, I believe, gave it 3. We have very different tastes in how we like our poetry, we discovered. She likes more flowery, floaty, easy poetry. I really like something that punches you in the gut and makes you cry. If it can take out your heart and throw it on the ground and stomp on it, oh, I'm down. I'm all in for that kind of poetry. So this is a little more that style. Be aware. And also, if you're looking for a pure Jane Eyre retelling in poetry, that is not for you. If you want to take Jane Eyre and Bertha and bloom them into something darker and more honest and more modern, that's fabulous. The Title Zone by Sarah Moss. I finished this. Wonderful, awesome. I was sent it by Granta. I'm so grateful. I have read all of Sarah Moss, but I do not own all of Sarah Moss. So I will be picking up her books one at a time, so you'll still see them trickling in. I think fabulously wonderful, amazing. I think it's worth all the hype it has. I liked Signs of the Lost Children more. That might be a weird opinion to have right now. Yeah, I think I liked Signs for Lost Children more. I'll link that review down below. I really did enjoy this. I'm going to be doing a full in-depth review on this, talking about how it had a really honest depiction of a teenage girl. It was really wonderful. The gender conversation, the parents swapping in terms of a full-time at-home dad and a working mom and what that looks like to society. I'm very much excited to make a video of this, reviewing it and chatting about it and the themes and the ideas behind it that really captured and made me fall in love with it. And I definitely gave it 5 stars. It's just, I'd already read Signs for Our Lost Children, and I like it better. That's my only thing. And I think it's because I have a weakness for asylum stories, and while this did touch upon medical, mental-ish health, it wasn't like some sort of 1800s asylum set, dark spookiness, which I really have a weakness for. And then we have Jen Campbell is doing a read-along of Peter Pan. I took that as an opportunity to buy Peter Pan and reread it. Who let me read this as a child? Like, who did that? Because I think it was my grandmother. I think my grandmother let me read this as a child because I have her copy from the I want to say 1900s. Is that right? This edition's so pretty, though. Like, you can't go wrong. It's such a pretty edition. First published in the United States in 1911. Okay, so I'm right. Her edition is from the 40s. I have that in my closet, and I don't take it out in sunlight, and I don't bring it out to show the camera, and I don't want to, because it's such a special edition. I have it actually in plastic. It was my Grammy's. It has her name in it. Like, it's mine. It's my baby. It's my sacred, special baby. I'm going to keep it to myself, but this is now my edition that I've read. And I don't understand why my Grammy let me read this as a young child, because it is brutal. And then, if you don't know what Peter Pan is about, it's about a boy who doesn't want to grow up, and it's weird AF. This, I really want... Let's be honest, I actually wanted more of an excuse to buy this than I did Peter Pan. Peter Pan I would have gotten to. Like, that was an easy one. No problem, I would have bought it. I'd already read it. Yeah, it was an excuse. This was purely an excuse plus indulgence. Like, this is Peter and Alice by John Logan, and it's a play, and I love it, and I will never leave this play into a used bookstore because it's so good. It's so good. If I could see this performed live, I would, and I would pay whatever money I had to because, oh my God, I'm in love. Next, I've done a... come here. Okay. I've done a full review of this and its companion in terms of publishers. So Bellevue Literary Press, who I am hoping will work with me again in the future. Oh my gosh, they were wonderful, amazing, fabulous books. And I could not speak higher of them. This is Are You Here for What I'm Here For? And this is Brian Booker's short story collection about cults and New Age medicine and sexual awakenings, and I loved it. It was raw and emotional and super, super different from any other short story collection I've read. I really like, again, something that reaches into your stomach and grabs it and then goes, and then you're like, like ugly crying. Ugly crying. Granted, I'm a hyper emotional person, so maybe not everyone's gonna ugly cry. I totally ugly cried it. And then this, I also ugly cried this for a totally different reason. This, there we go, upside down. This is Collateral by Simone John. Sorry, this is poetry by Octopus Books. I love it, obsessed with it, amazing. It talks about Black literature, Black culture, Black Lives Matter. It's important. It's so good, so good. It was, I think it was $15 for about 30 pages. Absolutely worth the money, absolutely worth the time, and supporting Octopus Books, not a question. Then we have, this is another one sent to me. This was sent to me by the author herself. This was sent to me by Robin Gregory. Excuse me. This is Improbable Wonders of Little Mooji Littleman, and I love this. This is middle grade, young A. Young A. YA at its best. It was a story about a little boy who has deformities and differences and goes through really hard times, and he still manages to be kind and sweet and loving and believe the best in every human he comes across with. I love the art. I love the book. It's fabulous, and more people should absolutely read this. It says it won Gillette Burgess Children's Book Award. And I actually don't know what that award is. I should look that up because I'm very curious. But yeah. Yeah, this was just, oh, and it was best indie book of the month in December 2015. That's adorable. I really love this book. It was really sweet. It was something very different and a nice break from everything else I was reading. Plus, I really love that all the artwork on the top of the chapters is like little peaches. Super cute. And then I love, like, the beginning, part 2, the subsequent trials and misguided adventures in which the venerable Mooji and his trusty cat undergo Saint Isidore's. Oh, I love it. It's so pretty. Then there's this. I did talk about this more in another wrap-up, and I will link it down below. This is Claire Bean. She's Chinese, and I think she was Chinese. Am I crazy? I'm probably crazy. I don't know. I want to say she's Chinese, but I'm losing my brain right now. So, Hearing Voices, Living Fully, and this was sent to me by JKP, and they're a publishing company called Jessica Kingley Publishers. I loved this book so much. It's about a woman who is Asian, she's Asian, and she's living in America, and she's trying to become more intelligent. Like, she's coming up against all these different odds of her family expectations, and being intelligent, and being awesome, and being perfect. And she ends up having schizophrenia, and this is her story about functioning with voices. This one made me cry an awful lot, too. I mean, you can see, like, the cover's bent. Like, this one I was, like, reading, like, oh, like, I was, like, up here. It was bad. I honestly think it was one of the best books I've read for schizophrenia in terms of a nonfiction in a really long time. I super enjoyed it. Lungs Full of Noise by Tessa Malas. I liked some stories. I didn't really find it anything special. I wanted to adore it. I wanted to give it like 50 stars, but it just, nah. I don't know. I fell flat. Like, I think most of the stories were forgettable. Like, I'm thinking about it now, and I really don't remember any of the stories I really fell in love with. Just with a cover like that, come on, people. How did you mess that up with a cover like that? And then we have 2 left. This one I was sent by Schuster & Schuster, and it's from their subgroup of, I believe, I poked myself in the eye. I poked myself in the eye. Saga Publishing. That's not right. No. Saga Press. This is Kate Howard, Roses and Rot. This is blurbed by Neil Gaiman. Now, when I started this, I was like, this is going to be 5 stars. It's amazing. I thought it was going to be able to, like, battle it out with the Cranes Dance and be epic. It was, for me, it's a solid book. I'm going to keep it on my shelf. I think it'll grow with me and be just fine. I will reread it and find new things. I know I will, because it has so many nods to fairy tales and mythology, and actually it has a lot of Poe references as well, which I really enjoyed. Like, it really nods to some pretty good, like, authors and things of that nature. It has the cruel mother. It has the 2 sisters battling it out for the glory. I really enjoyed it. However, I went into it hoping for much more of a fairy tale-esque kind of gothic fairy tale feel, and I didn't get that from it. So I'm hoping to reread it when I don't have the ideas of what I think I'm going to be reading, and it's just the idea of what it's going to be, and I'm going to enjoy it more that way. Last, certainly not least, this is Samantha Hunt, Mr. Swiftfoot. I really enjoyed this. It was incredible. I'm on a cult fiction run. There it is. I'm on a cult fiction like binge. I am eating up everything I can in cult fiction. This is no exception. I loved it. I obsessed with it. This is amazing. It's the story of Ruth, who she ends up becoming friends with a little boy who comes into the home where she's living with a group of cults. With a group of culties? Is that a word? I don't know. She ends up coming in with a group. She ends up with this boy coming in and living with her and a bunch of misfits. So this cult basically takes misfits and brings them all into this home, and they make sure that they understand that they're unlovable and unwanted to the rest of the world, so they need to stay in this cult. So she ends up getting raised in this world, and then the story is actually of her and her niece in the books later, and her niece Cora finds her decades later, and she is pregnant, and she and her Aunt Ruth end up going on a kind of backstory to find out more about the cult and where they come from, and to become friends and family members, and to find a family within each other that's not so messed up. I wanted to say the F word, but I'm gonna try and keep it PG for a little bit longer on this channel. Like, I'm saving that F-bomb for anything I said nothing against him. You can't prove it. Okay. Ow, I'm like squishing my own leg. Alright guys, this has been a very long first part of August wrap-up. I wish I'd split it into 3 parts, but no bueno at this point. I am sorry it's a 20-minute long video, so I'm going to cut it down right now and say, I'll see you in the next videos. Comment down below and like me. Oh, did someone say something? Yeah, me. Comment down below and say you like this video. Okay. Bye, guys.